This special squad leader episode is going to focus on this squad of squad leaders. Here we have the latest run in 3v. Here we have the first run of squad leaders in CPM 3v, and over here we have one of the first runs of the squad leader in A2. And we do have a bit of a variety here in terms of handle materials. I was gonna say in pins as well, but that would be a lie since I realize now they are all in mosaic pins. But we're gonna take a closer look at these different versions because we can already see that there are some differences to each run. But the performance is actually quite the same regardless of run. The biggest difference, of course, being between the original A2 version compared to the newer 3v versions. But just to give you guys an overview, this is what the video will indeed focus on. Here we have the main focus of this special episode, where we are going to take a look at Bark River Squad Leader, the different versions released, and talk a little bit about like a long-term review, since I've had some of these knives for quite some time. So as you can see right away, there is one knife that, not knife, but one sheath design that looks a bit different, and that is this one. So this is the newest version of the CPM 3v Squad Leader, and over here we have the first version. I actually think this is a first production run Squad Leader in A2. But other than that, you know, from sheath design, it's been the same sheath design until the very latest release. So let's unsheath them and talk a little bit about the differences from each run. I will say that this is the first run in A2. These two are from the first run in CPM 3v. This one is from the second run in CPM 3v, and this is from the third and latest run of CPM 3v. So now I think we have all that in order, so to say. Let's unsheath them. I could have probably cleaned the knives a little bit before this. They're not terribly, you know, greasy or dirt or anything, but I realized now I could have maybe cleaned them up just a tad bit. So maybe we should place them in a different way, perhaps. Can we get them all to fit here? It's a good question. Perhaps. You know what? Give me 1 second and I will make sure we get a better view here of the knives. After some minor tweaking with the camera, I think this is as good of an overview we will get. So the most notable difference here is, of course, the lack of a fuller here on the first run of the squad leader. Aside from that, it is pretty much the very same design, but there is no fuller. And the steel is also quite a bit different from the other squad leaders here, this one being an A2 tool steel compared to CPM 3V. The specs, the weight, everything else is about the same. We can notice one difference though, and that is, you see this lanyard extension here? That was actually removed on the first run of the CPM 3V squad leader. But it got, it got a comeback here in the later runs. My preference is that it's, I honestly don't care too much if the lanyard extension is there or not, but some people might have other, preferences for better or worse. Then again, if you do not like the lanyard extension, you could simply ask to have it removed when ordering your knife. So let's say you order a squad leader from DLT Trading. You can just put in the comments, I'd like to have the extended lanyard removed. Problem solved. It would have been a lot more difficult with this run if you specified in the comments that I would like a extended lanyard attached to the knife. That would have been slightly more trickier to fulfill. I will also say that there are a few squad leaders out there in CPM 3V with a bit of a different fuller design. Not many were made, but it was a small run with those model with a larger, different looking fuller. So if you see that, it's not a fake knife or anything. It's just that there were a few ones that were made for whatever reasons with another type of fuller design. I do prefer this fuller design over the other one, but once again, it's going to be up to personal preferences to some extent. Anyway, let's take a look. Since these two are the current ones, the ones you will be able to pick up, I think it's probably better if we start by looking at one of them. So what you have here is a very compact, stout, heavy-duty knife. We have an overall length of 9.75 inches with a blade length of 4.75 inches, and a blade thickness of 0.250 inches, a quarter inch thick. Like I said, this is a really heavy duty compact knife. And the steel, like I've already said, bunch of times, CPM 3V, which will give you excellent edge retention, super toughness, and also pretty decent, or in my opinion really good actually, corrosion resistance. It will be slightly more job to strop and sharpen compared to A2, but that's not an issue in my opinion. I do prefer 3V over A2. I prefer 3V over pretty much all steel types for fixed blades. It is indeed my absolute favorite steel. The weight of this one should be 10.3 ounces. However, that can vary a bit with handle materials, etc. I thought that just for fun we could put all these knives on the scale and see what differences we get in the weight department, and we can also get some weights in grams for our non-US friends as well when we do that. I have size 10 in gloves. I do have fairly large hands. The squad leader has perfect, absolutely perfect handle ergos for me. It is a really nice handle design, great, width, great contouring, etc. For my hands. I do have a bit of handle left here, and if I want to do some, smaller chopping tasks, I will get a grip on the back part of the knife to get more, leverage when doing some minor chopping. This is not really a chopping knife, but I do consider it to be a knife that you should be able to do pretty much everything and anything with. That is something that I've got to say. There is a small, I don't really know what we should call this. It's not really a sharpening choil, and it's not a finger choil either. But fact is that you can actually place your finger here without, cutting your finger on the blade. But do I recommend it? Is it comfortable? It's not super uncomfortable. So I'm gonna recommend it. But if you wanna place your finger here and use it for perhaps some finer tasks, it can be done. Looking at some other aspects here, let's see if we can get this in focus. We can see we have the full thickness going for quite a bit here. Then we're getting a small swedge grind here, but still with a very, for Bark River, I will say that this tip is still kinda on the strong or stout side. We do know Bark River is semi-famous for thin tips. I have not personally had any issues with the tips. I've never broken a tip. I could if I wanted, but this tip will probably hold up quite well, I'd say. So not super thin, not super thick either, but definitely a tip that will not break too easily. That's for sure. Maybe we should take a closer look here at the A2, just because it is a bit different here with the lack of a fuller. But here we have the A2 first production run squad leader. First production run can be seen here, marked first production run. This has been a heavy user for me. It's probably one of my more abused knives. It might not look like it, but there is a fair share of scratches and stuff here, so it's not like new in box, if I put it like that. But it is still, it's sharp. I've sharpened it quite a few times. It's a workhorse for sure. Held up really well during these last couple of years when I have put it to hard use, doing some light or semi-light chopping, done a lot of batoning and stuff like that. So, but it has been holding up really good. But I will admit that I have replaced this one with especially this pink 3B version. Also use this one quite a lot. I have put this one to a bit of use, but with the slightly nicer handles. When I have other handles of the same model, I tend to go with G10 because, well, those handles will stand up to a lot more hard work and potential abuse than wooden handles. Not that I have ever had a problem with my handles in wood materials, but we all pretty much know that G10 and micarta is the way to go for real life users. So maybe we should put them on a scale here and see the weight and see if we can see any differences between handle materials or the different runs, etc. Might be some slight variations, I'd imagine. Not by much, but still some kind of variations at that. Yeah, let's take a look at it. So I can say it also, by the way, the handle materials here are green canvas micarta, pink G10, red G10, silver and purple elderberry, and this is probably green and blue maple burl, perhaps something like that. They all have mosaic pins, and this one has red liners, black liners, white liners, no liners, no liners. We could probably take a closer look at each individual model as well before putting them on a scale. So, like I said, green canvas micarta, mosaic pins, red liners, not sure how visible it is in the camera. Pink G10, mosaic pins, black liners. Red G10, mosaic pins, white liners, also known as my Christmas knife. And I will say that this red is getting deeper and deeper, you know, deeper red or darker red with each passing year. And here we have the, I think it is silver and purple elderberry mosaic pins. Some really nice mosaic pins on this one. You don't see these mosaic pins that often. Not sure why. No liners on this one. And this one is, I think, green and blue maple burl. No liners on this one. And if I forgot to mention it, and I think I did forgot to mention it, here we can see once again the text of first production run, being the first run with this, you know, specific steel and the fuller, you know, just the first run of the CPM 3B version. It should also say that on this one, yes. We got the very same text here, not as dark text, but just stating that this is also from the first production run of the CPM 3B version. So now we have taken a bit of a look here. So let's put them on the scale, just for science. And I'm also thinking if we should perhaps do some size comparisons as well later on. See how it compares to maybe like a Bravo 1 or Bravo 125, or comparing it to the Squad Leader 2 perhaps, or I'm not quite sure yet. We will see what we do, but for now let's put them on the scale. So we now have the scale in order. We're gonna switch units to grams, like that. And then we're gonna start with the first A2 version, which is 271 grams. And what is that in ounces, perhaps? Could be interesting. So here we have ounces. .55 ounces. Moving on to and now we have a lanyard that might, you know, weigh a few grams, but to the first 3V version, which is 10.65 ounces, which in grams would be 303 grams. So this one is a bit heavier than the A2 version, with the lanyard extension here, which this one is lacking. Let's go with this one. 284 grams, or in ounces, 10.0 ounces. So I mean, this is from the very same run, so there might be, as you can see, some slight variations in weight. 10.0 here, 10.65 with this one. So heading up here with the first, with this one, we got 9.85 ounces, which equals 279 grams. And then this one, which is the very latest run, of the Squad Leader 3V, we got 281 grams, which equals 9.90 ounces. So I'd say they are all, I mean, all these are in the range of like, how many ounces was this one, by the way? It was 9.55. Yes, I mean they are like between 9.5 to 10.5 ounces, somewhere around that. So it is, like I said, it is, for given its size, it is a pretty, you know, pretty compact knife. That is definitely for sure. So I'm gonna see if we can do some comparisons here with some other models in similar size. We're gonna compare them mostly to the latest run here of the 3V version. Give me just a little moment. Let's start this comparison segment here by saying that I thought it was kind of tricky to pick different models for this comparison, because there actually, in my opinion, there aren't that many Bark River models that feel and perform just like the Squad Leader. This is, you know, it's kind of, you know, unique in some sense. But even so, we do have some knives to put up here for the comparison. So let's place this one here in the middle of sorts, and then we go with one of the most famous knives from Bark River, or one of the best. Here's it in an old sheath design. They have changed the design by now, but here we have the 125 Bravo 125 compared to the Squad Leader, and we also have the Bravo 1.5, which we can place on top here. But as you can see, they are quite different. There are of course some similarities in handle shape or design, but even there we can see some variations, with the Squad Leader having a more wide handle, a deeper finger groove here, and also perhaps a bit of a longer handle, maybe. Yeah, but the biggest difference is of course the actual blade design. The Squad Leader having a much wider blade than these two. Also looking at the blade thickness, the Squad Leader has the thicker blade. Still, you do have some semi-stout tips on these knives as well. Not sure how well it can be seen here, but there is a pretty strong tip here. So that is the 125 and 1.5 Bravo. So let's take them away for now. This one is actually pretty interesting, the next one here, and it is the Bravo Alpha, which is also quite a compact blade, and the drop point giving it a pretty strong tip as well. Still a much lighter option than the Squad Leader here. So, but still, you know, still a blade that can be used for, you know, comparison. Even so, we can also use the Bark River Cub. Place it. I want to change. No, wait. Let's do like this and then put it down here. Quite a bit different handle design, different blade design. Well, everything is pretty much different about the cub and the squad leader, but you can still get, you know, a sense of the, you know, the size and the ergos, etc. I much prefer the handle of the squad leader and the alpha compared to the cub. I mean, it's not that the cub has a bad handle in any way. I mean, it is quite comfortable like this, but I sometimes get some smaller issues with the flared bottom here, the top part of the flared bottom. Maybe I should file it down perhaps. Not a super big issue, but it is, you know, you get your preferences. Let's remove these blades. We can look at the final two comparisons here. So I'm going to compare my absolute most compact Bark River versus the Squad Leader, which can be a pretty interesting comparison, I'd say. Give me a second here. Let's see. Yeah, so now we're gonna compare it to the GBA, an all-purpose knife of sorts. This is a compact blade. Now we have a knife that makes the Squad Leader look tiny. I'm not saying this is a fair comparison, but I thought it would be an interesting comparison, since I've been speaking so much about this is such a stout blade, this is such a compact blade, etc. And it is, and this is a heavy blade, sort of, but depending on what you compare it to, I mean, this is a heavy knife. I have a difficult time fitting it in the camera here. This one actually has some great ergos. Maybe I should make a video about the GBA one day. It wasn't the most popular knife in any way, and I think it's discontinued. Although they did make a light version of it, or, you know, slightly thinner at least. But, you know, just for reference, you know, this one has a pretty stout tip. You see that? Yeah. So this one does make the Squad Leader look less compact. If I had to pick one of these two knives, I would hands down pick the Squad Leader. I mean, the GBA is an interesting design, an interesting handle design, and you know, just an overall interesting knife. But the Squad Leader is, you know, far more you know, useful given its general design and size and weight, etc. It's just more handy to pack along, you know. Even though this doesn't take a lot of space, it is, you know, not really my go-to knife for camping or hikes. But it is an interesting design. And I wanted to show something that would make, you know, the Squad Leader look less compact for a second. The final comparison with the Squad Leader is going to be with a Squad Leader 2. Here we have the Squad Leader 2. I'm not sure if I have made any video about the Squad Leader 2. If not, then maybe I should do that. And I'm not sure if you remember, I spoke some about, you know, there was a small run with fullers that were different on the Squad Leader in 3V. that fuller design was more like, a little bit more like the fuller from the Squad Leader 2, like a wider fuller, something like that. So that is, I just want to clarify it. But like I said, Squad Leader 2, quite a bit of difference in both blade and yeah, not so much in handle, to be honest. The handles are, or should be, more or less identical. But we can see there is quite a bit of difference in length and perhaps a bit, perhaps in width. I'm not really sure, to be honest. They also added some jimping here on the Squad Leader 2. There is no jimping on the original or any of the Squad Leader versions, but the Squad Leader 2 does have jimping. And some people like jimping, others do not. Aside from that, I think that the blade thickness, etc., should be more or less the same. Or am I mistaken now? Maybe the thickness of the Squad Leader 2 is actually, it might be, slightly thicker than this one. I'm not sure what thickness it would be then, like 0.275 instead of 0.270, perhaps. Now I'm just, guesstimating, but yeah, regardless, now we have gotten a look at the Squad Leader and the Squad Leader 2 for those who are interested in such a comparison of sorts. We could also, I guess, put them on a scale and see what differences we are talking about in terms of weight. Could be interesting, perhaps. Let's do that. So in ounces, the Squad Leader 3B is, this particular one is 9.9 ounces. The Squad Leader 2 is 13.3 ounces. So it is a bit of a difference in weight. My favorite of these two, I think both are nice knives, but I do prefer the Squad Leader over the Squad Leader 2. But yeah, the Squad Leader 2 might be a better knife for, of course, batoning larger pieces of wood, etc. Anything where you need that extra length of the blade. So we've done some comparisons. We have gone over the specs, the handle ergos, the balance point. We have not spoken about the balance point. Where do we have it? Is it right at, more or less right at the finger choil area, or finger groove area, which is not a bad thing from a balance perspective. This is a really, really comfortable knife. I just want to say that. Next up, we're gonna do some sharpness tests. We're gonna slice some different kinds of paper. I am running out of both leg and arm hair, but if possible, if we can find any, we can do some shaving. And after that, we're gonna head outside and put it to some other use. Maybe we might do some slicing of fruits and vegetables, and that we could do indoor, I guess. But sharpness test is what we're doing now. So this one is new out of the box. I have not done anything to alter the edge or yeah, just, you know, I haven't done anything to it. It is just out of the box. So that is a good knife for a sharpness test. And I have some random magazine paper. I have some printing paper, and I have some newspaper paper as well here. So let's start with the printing paper, then the magazine paper, and then the newspaper. I think that will be a good test. Very nice, clean cut. Yeah, slicing printing paper. I sometimes think printing paper can be tricky to slice. I'm not sure if it has to do with the paper fibers, but this knife is making it look extremely effortless. This is a really sharp knife. That was most impressive. Let's continue with the magazine paper next. Let's see if we can have it like visible in the camera. Yeah, like regular magazine paper of sorts. So I did a review here of the city knife not long ago, and I mean that knife was sharp, but this knife is actually much sharper for whatever reason. But it's always easier also to do these sort of slicing tests when you have a bit longer blade length or cutting length. This knife is insanely sharp, really sharp. Like, yeah, extremely sharp. So I think that concludes the magazine paper sharpness test, and now we can try the most interesting one, which is the newspaper test. This could be interesting, perhaps. down. Oops. Well, tricky enough. Yeah, well, I'm just going to say that this knife is very sharp. It is very sharp, no doubt. Very, very impressed with the sharpness of this one. I will say that every knife you get from Bark River, at least my personal experience, is going to be sharp. You will always be able to slice different types of paper, but the level of effortlessness that you can slice the paper will differ a bit. So be sure that you will get a sharp knife. But there might be some variety just how sharp the knife will be. Something to keep in mind. And you can always put a knife on the strop to really get that extra fine edge you want. I'll see if we can do some hair shaving tests, but I think it will be difficult finding something to shave. Well, here we have my leg. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of hair left, and I'm not sure how well things can be seen in the camera either, but let's try to shave some stuff off here. Hopefully it's visible. So this is hair popping sharp, I'd say. But it's not, like I said, it's not a whole lot of hair left here on my legs, but what little is left is quite easy to, it just pops off. But I wish I had a lot more. Maybe we can take here on the knee, for example. How visible is this? I don't know. I can't really see it so well in the camera. Oh, see if I can adjust the brightness, but just, just flies off. So yeah, I have smoother legs than my wife right now, I'd say. Definitely. Maybe we can see the hair. I do have a white background here on the table, so at least we can see what has fallen fallen off here from my leg, perhaps. I don't know what that is, but so in terms of shaving, yeah, it will shave with ease. Before we head outside and start doing some batoning, chopping, carving, etc., let's do some light food prep here, slicing some fruits and vegetables. And I will say that I didn't have a whole lot of stuff at home. I guess I didn't plan for this. But we do have a paprika, we have an apple, we have 2 oranges, we have some small tomatoes, and we have some not too fresh grapes. But since this is just a slicing test, I mean, heck, it will still work. So let's start with something. Maybe we should start. Let's start with the paprika, I think. I'm not sure why, but let's do that. And people sometimes say, you know, why do you pick a knife with such a thick spine? And, you know, a knife like that can't slice, a knife like that can't do this and that. There are no advantages to a thick blade spine. And I will admit that, you know, lately I've been getting more and more and more into thinner blade stocks or you know, blade spines. Like having my preferences set at perhaps 0.150 to 0.190. But there is still a place for blades such as this, or thicknesses such as this. And the squad leader, to me, it should be a very capable stout knife that should be able to be abused and still hold up really well. But what I want to say with that is this knife, I haven't put this specific one. I've used my other squad leaders to slice fruits and vegetables and stuff like that and meat, and I know they can do it. But hopefully this test will show that this is a capable slicer. And people might also say, well, isn't there a risk now that you will stain your blade? I mean, CPM 3V, that's not a stainless steel. And I mean, this is not a stainless steel. And sure, there is a risk there might be some slight or light patina or something like that. But to me, that is not a problem. And if you do take care of your knives, that shouldn't, you know, if I clean my knife once we're done here, if I use some, you know, ballistic oil or a ballistol, or if I use some flits, that shouldn't be necessary. But, you know, if you do just use water and soap for that matter, you should be able to, you know, have this blade without patina. So let's just start by slicing this paprika here. Remove here well, I don't know the word in English for this piece here. Someone will probably comment it in the video and let me know what it's called, but as of right now, no, I don't know what it's called.
So would I use this squad leader as a kitchen knife? Well, I mean, I have several kitchen knives, but I would not be uncomfortable using this knife in the kitchen, preparing, you know, fruits or vegetables, meat, or you know, pretty much anything, because it may have a thick blade stock, but it's still got some pretty nice slicing capabilities, as I hope this video will show you guys and the non-believers of sorts. I mean, we all saw how, you know, how it sliced paper in a really nice way, how it shaved my leg hair. I did clean it before starting doing this. I want it to be somewhat hygienic, or food friendly, or whatever you call it. So now we have processed the paprika. We can of course make some, you know, finer pieces as well. It's not, you know, not difficult in any way. We can do the rest as well. So here we have the paprika, pretty much hacked up or sliced up. Wasn't much of an effort. Performed really well. I knew it was going to perform well. So I mean, to me this is no surprise in any way. But I still think it's good to do this test, so people can get, you know, a sense of what this knife is indeed capable of. The question now is, what do we choose to continue with? And I think we should, since this was not a fruit but a vegetable, we should probably go with a tomato to keep it kind of, you know, themed of sorts. Just gonna, hands got a little messy, so that's all. Let's see, here we have some mini tomatoes. I'm not sure what the English word for them is, but and I'm not sure what we're gonna do with them really. I mean, we can. Sadly, they aren't super fresh. They're a bit, you know, mushy or something like that. I don't know what you say, but they're not. Yeah. And I mean, why you would want to slice, you know, thinner pieces than this for the tomatoes, I'm not really sure why you would want to do that. Had they been slightly more fresh, it would have been easier to get finer pieces. It's always easier to work with fresh fruit, or fresh vegetables for that matter as well, of course. We're probably gonna see like equal performances when we do the when we do the grapes, and I guess we could do the grapes next here. This way. I hate, you know, throwing food away, but this is just, well, it wasn't super fresh to begin with, so that is, there was some leftovers of sorts. Let's go with the grapes now, and these are even less fresh. But yeah, let's see what we can slice up here. It's too risky. But I mean, we are getting some fine, you know, fairly fine slices here of the grapes. Maybe do something easier now. Just, you know, like if we were doing a fruit salad of sorts, we would just do maybe like, you know, cut them in half like that, or cut them in parts of 4 like that. I mean, how often do you dissect grapes like this? Can't be that, you know, common of a thing to do. But it does slice, you know, it slices them with ease. So now we have some, you know, round slices and some just random pieces here of sorts. Yeah. But these two we're not gonna eat because they are just not fresh enough. But it's easier to refill with fruits and vegetables, pieces of meat, etc., than to, you know, regrow arm or leg hair fast enough for these videos. Those are the tricky parts of sorts. Clean the blade just a tad bit. Can inspect the blade once we are done with the food part. Let's do oranges next there now. Let's go for some large, round, nice pieces of orange. And as thin as possible. I mean, this is paper thin, really. But there's no meat on this one, or no fruit meat. We're getting into it right now. But still, I mean, yeah, more or less paper thin slice there. So. Once again, paper thin. Maybe we don't really need to go super paper thin, but it's still nice, you know, to make it as sort of as thin as possible, just to show people that, you know, even though the knife is compact, thick, heavy, you can get really thin pieces, should you want to. I'm gonna slice this one up with a bit thicker pieces. Okay, just joking. That was too thin. Doesn't matter. So let's take a quick look. Let's remove these paper thin slices as well. And we will see that we got, you know, like let's try this, you know, getting less and less space to hold on to here. Yeah, that wasn't very nicely cut. But I mean, regardless, we are getting some nice orange slices here. Let's go with this one. Let's do something else with this. We can, yeah. A few pieces like that. We can do some extra work on those later, and then we can turn this one like that. Now we have these ones sliced up as well. Pretty nice. Not that much of an effort. Now we can try to cut the meat off these pieces. Sometimes you have to be creative when doing these sort of food prep or slicing tests, when you have not too much to work with. Here you actually get quite a nice grip here with the finger here on the finger groove, and then, you know, the placement of your thumbs like this. And then, you know, for semi, you know, precision work of sorts. So now we have some just meat here, and then we have these empty peels. Let's see, let's remove these. Probably a lot of patina juice here on the cutting board. Someone mentioned a DLT cutting board in my latest Bark River video with the city knife. So I'm gonna have to maybe check that one out. I'm not quite sure what that cutting board looks like, but if DLT Trading stands behind it, I kind of bet it's a nice one. So let's go with the apple here. Maybe I should have gone for peeling off the apple, but now we're gonna go with just, you know, cutting it open, like if we were to make an apple pie, for example. So actually I didn't really even slice it open, I more broke it open. And that is, you know, when the spine thickness comes in, you know. If I had used a knife with less of a thick spine, I would probably have, you know, cut through it a bit smoother, not actually splitting it open. But for batoning, this will be a lot better. So let's remove these inner parts here. Once again, I don't know what you call this in English. I bet someone watching the video knows and can, you know, inform me. like that. And now we can start, yeah, maybe we should do like this. If I were to make an apple pie, we would want to go with, well, that's maybe a bit too thin. More like pieces. Yeah, I think pieces like that, sort of. Cutting 100% straight now, but as you can see, we are getting a lot of somewhat, yeah, even or semi-thin pieces. I have a little difficulty seeing anything in the camera. The camera is really dark to me when I look into it, so just letting you guys know that. These pieces, they can be used for a fruit salad perhaps. Not sure what we can do now, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Cutting some thicker pieces, like for a fruit salad perhaps. It's gonna be too large for fruit salad. Anyway, I just wanna, yeah, I mean, we have a bit of this and that here now. Yeah, fruit salad or apple pie. We can do a little bit of everything. So let me remove that. Probably go like this. That. My camera got a bit overheated, but it doesn't matter because it recorded the whole food prep segment, and that was the most important part. And after that I went inside and I cleaned the knife up. I'm gonna see here, and I do not think there is any signs of any patina here. I mean, certain fruits, certain vegetables are differently aggressive towards steel, like onion and some other being really aggressive, and we did not cut that, but we still did cut things that will get the patina going, especially if not cleaned up afterwards. So I use water and soap a bit, and I also use some ballistic oil just to to put it on here. And like I said, I don't see any it looks like a brand new knife still. At least to me, or it may look different on video perhaps when it's in greater detail or in better light conditions or stuff like that. But working with this one in the kitchen, like I did right now, I mean, it is a bit heavy, of course. I mean, it's not, it doesn't feel like a kitchen knife. It is not a kitchen knife. But in terms of slicing capabilities, there's a lot of stuff that can be done with this knife without problems. But this is not your typical fillet knife or working with fish and stuff like that, deboning, and when you want some flexibility to the blade. I mean, look at this. This is not very flexible if I put it like that. But if you're out in the wild and you have to slice some stuff up to prepare some stew or whatever, will this knife perform? 100%, absolutely. It will perform. As you can see, we are now outside in my backyard. This is usually the place where I stand and chop logs using axes. I rarely work with knives here, But since we're gonna do some batoning tests, I prefer to do that in a more controlled environment if possible. Then we're gonna head out into the woods and do some other tasks, more like carving, feather sticking, maybe trying to take down some sort of tree using maybe not much chopping, but precision batoning of sorts. But this is just, you know, a first test that I want to get on camera before I head out. So let's get going. And I'm using my pink G10 CPM 3V first run squad leader for this test. And I'm using that one because, not because I am afraid to you know, mess up the edge or anything on my wooden handle squad leaders, but because I think that, you know, the different handles for different tasks. I mean, if I have a couple of G10 handles and I'm gonna show some batoning or some other really hard work, then I might, you know, as well use them. It's only logic to me. But the performance will be the same regardless of which squad leader model you have. Even with the A2 version, I'd say. There will be a difference in the food prep part though when using A2. That one would catch a patina faster. But anyways, let's get this going. Start with something. Let's see how small. We have a few different types of wood here and tree, and it's always easier if you batoon going with the orientation here. But we're gonna try some different orientations as well, just, you know, for the heck of it. So this is not going to be in orientation. Let's cut it in half first. Once again, as you see, this is when batoning. This is when blade length comes into play. You don't want to get the knife, you know, stuck here. You don't want it, you know, you don't want to start bashing on the handle. You don't want it to get, you know, you want to measure sort of. So do pick pieces that are reasonable given, you know, the size of the tree or the wood piece that you are batooning through, so it doesn't, you know, get stuck. Well, that's one way to do it. Oh, and for people saying like, but you have mosaic pins on your knives, those are not, you know, bolts. No, will they not fly out or away? I have yet to have any issues with any of my knives with mosaic pins, but it is true, they are not, you know, bolted or screwed. They are just, you know, pins that are glued and fitted to the handle. But like I said, I've had zero issues. But if you want to have a real hard using knives, then maybe you want to go with either, you know, regular stainless Corby bolts or brass Corby bolts. So let's see. Now we have, or soon we will have, a few really nice small pieces here that would be excellent for getting a fire going. You know, if you have some feathers, and some twigs and small sticks, and then you have these semi-fine pieces of wood to, you know, build a greater fire with. So that was this tree type. We got, yeah, some, you know, some small pieces of wood here. Let's try a different type of tree, perhaps. Here we have something interesting. I'm not even sure what type of tree this is, but maybe it doesn't matter too much. Yeah. Let's go with a small piece here to begin with. So whatever tree type this is, we now have a few nice pieces here as well to build a fire with. So take a look at the different, yeah. Here we have a piece that I think might be difficult, but we can try it regardless. This is a really heavy piece. I think it's gonna be perhaps, yeah, let's try it here first, see what we can do. I may be wrong at times. This was perhaps not that difficult. I just had a feeling it would be, but apparently this was perhaps the easiest piece yet. Definitely thought it would be a more tough piece to break. Oops. Very good of me. Cutting the thick bark off. Yeah, like that. Will burn well. See if we can remove this bark as well. So come over there, that one there, these here, some more from this part, and then these quite long pieces here. So now we have, yeah, a bit of this and that to use. And I think that's gonna be it for the batoning session. You know, the really thick spine here comes into great play when batoning. This knife is only limited by the length of the blade. That is one thing limiting it from doing some really extreme batoning, should you have to do that. Great handle ergos when batoning. Your hand will not hurt, or my have never hurt from doing batoning, and I've done a lot of batoning with my different squad leaders. So I have just decided that I want to stay here for a bit because I want to do some feather sticking as well from these pieces that we just made for a fire. So let's do some feathers here, and hopefully it will be visible in the camera. I guess I could probably perhaps zoom in just a tad bit. So feather sticks it is. with a... Now we've got some fairly large feathers going on here. We can try to make some finer ones as well, perhaps. Some large ones again, but a bit of a mix here. Let's take a look at these closer to the camera. I mean, this is not bad, but we could need some finer feathers as well. But this is... it's not bad, but we need more and finer. Let's put this here. Maybe use another piece, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe if we try to... Yeah, let's see. I mean, it's still not super fine, but it's not super bad either. Might try another piece, perhaps. Let's go with this one. Maybe it is the same kind of wood. Should maybe go with another piece. We can give it a go and see. I mean, we are getting something, but it's not, you know, bad in any way. I mean, with this, right? There we go. This would be helpful in starting a fire, no doubt. Pretty good. Next up, I want to do some carving of sorts. I want to turn these two different kinds of tree into spear-like tops here, or tips. So that is what we'll do now. That I really like working with the squad leader. I think it is an excellent do-it-all knife, and especially, you know, these type of carving or cutting. Let's remove all this so we can start seeing here. Oops, now I actually broke the tip. Maybe I was making it too thin then. So starting off from something like this, like a minute ago, turning it into something like this. That is pretty good. Or I mean, not pretty good, that is really good. And then we're gonna do the same with, hopefully the same with this one. Not 100% sure how this wood will behave, but it is different. Yeah, so from this to this. Pointy. Let's do one more thing. I'm gonna have to move the camera for this. So let's do some really fine carving here of sorts. Just not sure if we're gonna get it on camera. We can see if we can, you know. We're gonna have to zoom in even more. Okay, let's see here. Now we are fairly zoomed in. You know, going for these really fine . Is it even visible? Or do we get only zoom in on something else? This is not easy, you know. Just, you know, I'm not even sure what's visible or not now in the camera, but it's like going through butter, you know. While we are messing around and, you know, working with these pieces here, let's say you wanna make some notches or something in these. How hard would that be? That is something we can try out while we are here at home as well. So let's say we want to put a notch in here. You know, just from peer pressure, we get a nice deep cut here. So now we have a bit of a notch here. Make it look a bit better. So maybe not the, you know, the absolute finest of notch, but I mean, will it work? Yeah, it will work. So, but we can try on this piece as well. I mean, it's a bit different, different hardness, density, etc. So let's try to put a notch like here, perhaps. I should of course have done it the other way around. That was kind of stupid. But yeah. Oh well, I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. So, still a notch. Here we have this one. And here we have this one. So, you think we can chop this in half? Miniature chopping. My axes are laughing at me right now. I have, like, to be honest, zero force when I'm doing this. But I think we are done messing around here in this home environment. I think we should head out and do something. Not quite sure what, but I'm sure we can come up with something. Yep. So I just got the camera started here. We are now out in the woods. We are going to a campsite that is located just above that hill, sort of. Time is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and that means we will have 1.5 hours more of sun, which should give us some time to gather some dry sticks, etc., and prepare for the evening, so to say. I did bring my feathers with me that I did at home with my squad leader to see if they are, good enough to get a fire started. Otherwise, we'll just pick something like this or whatever here and make some finer feathers than what we could do at home. So here is the actual campsite. I haven't been here in some time, and I can see that someone else have been here, messing things up a bit. No problem though, we will get it fixed in no time. Actually some pieces of wood here that could be useful. Yeah, I'm gonna start cleaning this little campsite up, and then we will get a fire going. So this is where we are now. I have cleaned up the campsite. I have prepared for some, I hope it will be enough for the fire seal to actually get the fire going. I'm going to build a fire with some dry twigs and sticks here. I've unloaded some stuff over there. Bolt, you have found your place. Semi-close to the campfire. Guess you're hoping for me to get this one going. And I guess there's not much left to do than to try to get the fire started. We might have to make some more feathers and finer feathers, but I hope these will be sufficient. So I'm gonna place the camera like, well, I don't know, maybe like this. See if we can get it to actually focus here on the fireplace area. Kinda, yeah, perhaps. And then we will just try to get the fire going. Yeah. Well, here goes nothing. So close, but definitely no cigar. Ever so slight. But still sufficient. Happiness. Live. That was nice. Didn't take awfully long either. Had it been, worse conditions, like more wet or damp or anything like that, I would have, taken the time to actually find some better stick to make feathers of. But I had a feeling this could actually, work out the way it did work out now, so it's not bad. It's not a big fire, but it is at least a fire. Did you hear something? Come here. Come. Come here. No wild boar adventures today. So I'm gonna try to get this fire going a bit more, and then we'll get back and talk about some, general thoughts and stuff about the squad leader. So the fire is picking up in pace. It's still a really small fire, but me and Bolt, we went out and fetched some really dry pieces of wood here. That should help the fire going for some time. You know, when you want to get a fire started, the first thing you do is not, to go around and chop down a tree or anything. It's to search your surroundings for good pieces to build a fire with. The only thing we're missing now is some marshmallows. We can take a closer look at the fire now, perhaps. It's not much, but it's not bad either. So, I mean, this is quite sufficient for my needs right now. If I wanted to, grill some hot dogs or whatever, if I brought that, or preparing grill a squirrel or something, this fire would be sufficient for that, absolutely. Bolt up. Hey boy. You like the fire? Or do you see or sense something? With your sharp senses. Let's place this one, maybe. This is a good placement, perhaps. Perhaps. Two down. Fix the camera a bit. Hey Bolt, come. You thirsty? Sit. Good boy. So, the squad leader. What do we have to... Oops. What do we have to say about it? what have we yet to do with it? I think we have put this one to some good use now. I will admit though that most of the use we did back home and not out in the woods, actually. But sometimes it is easier to do certain tests in a more controlled environment of sorts. I mean, I could of course have brought with me a saw here and taken down something and batoned in the woods, but I mean, I could as well do it at home. But we know that this is a knife that is super compact, strong, tough steel, good edge retention, and also semi-corrosion resistant, at least. It is one of my favorite steels. This knife will, Bolty, come here boy, come. You make me nervous when you look in the woods like that. You know the wild boars do not want to play with you, and you should not want to play with them. So, where were I? Yeah, this knife, we know that knives from Bark River, they come sharp, but they come in a different sharpness. They will all slice paper and such, but some of them will do it very, very smoothly. Then again, putting the knife on a strop for a minute or two usually gives it that extra fine edge, so it's not a big deal, in my opinion. Aside from slicing paper, you can also shave your legs with a knife like this, or shave your arms should you want to. You can also, Bolty, please. Where the heck are you going? Yeah. You can also slice a variety of fruits and vegetables using this very knife. It will cope with it just fine. Although we did not process any meat in this video, I can guarantee you that it's not an issue slicing up different kinds of meat. Not a issue at all. The knife will also batone with ease. It will make nice feathers. We didn't make any super fine feathers, but obviously we did make feathers good enough to get a fire started. So there's that. But I mean, depending on the wood type, you will be able to make really fine feathers. I could have, spent some extra minutes trying to find a good stick here to make some really fine feathers to get the fire started easier, but I decided not to. Chopping, well, that is one of the things we have not done particularly much in this video. This knife, I mean, you can do some sort of chopping with it. I just haven't done it in the video, but look at the blade length. This is a compact knife. I'm not saying you can't take down a small tree with it, because you can, but will it be a pleasant, experience or something you will want to do? Most likely not. I would not say that, but you can take down a small tree with this knife should you have to. The edge will hold up for it, absolutely. So all in all, this is one of my, I feel like I'm saying one of my favorite models about every knife I ever review for Bark River, but there aren't that many knives like this one from Bark River in this size and this thickness and this, overall design. So it is a bit different, and that makes it qualify as one of my, trusted wood tools. But if I were to do any chopping of any sort or anything like that, maybe I would look more at, the Survivor 3B or the Crusader or something like that. But then you will have a slightly larger knife, or not just slightly, you will have a quite a bit larger knife, and it will also be heavier. So it's always going to be about, can you justify the extra size, extra weight, and everything like that. I should probably put some more stuff here on the fire if I want to keep it alive for a few more minutes. No rush though, the glow won't die that easily. But I hope you have, gotten a sense of, what this knife is all about and its overall performances, what it is capable of, stuff like that. Striking a ferro rod, as you could see, it can do that. But the ferro rod I was using, well, it was, maybe I should fix it a little. It wasn't in the absolute best condition, if I put it like that. So, with that being said, Bolt, do you have any like final words or anything? No? Perhaps not. Then I think I'm gonna get some more wood for the fire here. So me and Bolt, we were out again, getting some more firewood. Try to save this little, this miniature campfire. Pieces might actually be a little bit damp. They weren't quite as dry as I was hoping for. Damp. Even so, this is what we have. It will just have to work. There. Hey boy. See something? Watching out over me. Yeah. Much appreciated. So it seems like the fire is actually working out. That's nice. I think we're gonna have to clean up this knife when we get back home. Not so much from, cutting and stuff, but the spine here from striking the ferro rod. It might look like it's, the knife has taken damage, but that is not the case since CPM 3V is so much tougher and stronger than the fire steel. So this is actually residue from the fire steel. Not sure if I'm going to use flitz or if I'm actually going to use some sandpaper just getting it away. Doesn't bother me too much, to be honest. But this is one of those knives that you feel like, when you have it with you in the woods. I'm going to change my hand, I think. When you have this knife with you out in the woods, you feel like, you can take on pretty much anything and everything. It won't break on you, it won't fail. It will not, nothing will. You won't fail in any way due to the tools or the knife itself. I think that's one of the, the psychological aspects with picking a knife with a blade thickness of like this one, a 1/4 inch, 0.250 inches, is that people feel safe when they have such a tool with them in the woods. Then I usually never, abuse my knives in any way. I don't, have to stick it into a tree and stand on it or anything like that, putting that, lateral stress on it. But, just knowing that this is one tough knife that won't let you down. For the things I have done, could I have used a lighter knife with a thinner blade stock for all the tests that I have done in this video? Yes. Yeah, I could have gone with my Aurora too, and it would have performed just as well. Maybe actually even better in certain aspects, to be honest. But sometimes you just want something like this with you. And it is a comfortable knife to work with also. So if someone would ask me about, a all-around camp knife or do-it-all camp knife, would the squad leader qualify for that? Absolutely. 100%. I'm not sure if this is where I, end the video. Maybe it is. With some final thoughts about the knife, bolt looking into the distant, sun is semi-setting and the campfire is going in the background. So it would make for a good ending, I guess. But I can't tell for sure if there will be some extra footage or not. I've been known to do stuff like that. But if not, if this is indeed the end, then I hope you have enjoyed this special episode and all the different tests and segments and everything we've done, and this little outdoor adventure. Any final words, Bolt? You want to say something? Bolty. Come here, boy. Who is a good boy? You are the best boy. Yeah.